Leo, welcome to your monthly horoscope for March 2026. I'm Adeana. I'm an intuitive astrologer. In this video, we're going to go over the energy for the month ahead. Now, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you align with my energy and enjoy my content. So let's get right into it. Okay, so I break the horoscopes down by week. So we go through each week and then I select a chart for each week to give you a bit of a visual. So the first week of the month of March, already coming into the month, we've got Mercury retrograde here in Pisces, which is in your eighth house. And then on the second, we have Mars entering Pisces. So there's quite a lot of focus on Pisces and Aries areas of our chart. So Pisces is in your eighth house of shared resources, your partner's finances, money coming in from outside resources like taxes, debt, inheritance. The eighth house also rules psychological healing and transformation and deep fears and secrets. And so with Mercury retrograde in the eighth house, there could be secrets revealed, but that's also the 12th house too. The 12th and the eighth house is kind of things, people, places that are hidden. And then the eighth house is also secrets too. So Mercury retrograde could expose like secrets, like other people's secrets. Um, so that's interesting just to be aware of, Leo. All right. And then on the 20, or sorry, on the second, we've got Mars entering Pisces. And so Mars ruling anger, aggression, conflict, fight, severing, separation. That's all that Mars energy. Being in the eighth house, your partner might experience some difficulties with their finances, or there could be something like maybe you're finally moving away from some debt, especially too, because we've had the nodes in your money houses now for over a year. The south node is in your second house of your money, your finances, your material possessions, and the north node is in your eighth house of shared resources and your partner's finances and like loans, debt, taxes, inheritance. And so there could be like some final debt severed, loans, like something along those lines, or maybe something coming in around loans. So just to be mindful of that. On the third, though, we have our lunar eclipse in Virgo at 12 degrees, which is going to be in your 12th house of money, finances, and material possessions. So think back, what have you been navigating around your money and your finances over the last year? That can give you an idea of what this lunar eclipse is going to activate for you. Now, I do have a separate forecast going much deeper into this energy if you want to check that out. But how I navigate the eclipses and what I've kind of noticed through my own observation is that when the nodes enter a sign, so for example, we just had our solar eclipse in Aquarius, which is the first eclipse in that cycle of eclipses, initiating us into the Leo Aquarius axis, which is going to be your first house, right? But whatever showed up that month of February with that solar eclipse, that's giving us an idea of what those next 2 years are going to look like. So we're in the middle of this Virgo Pisces cycle. So, what have you already been navigating the last year? That can give you an idea of what is showing up again with this lunar eclipse, especially around your money and your finances. Now, on the 5th, we have this sun in Pisces forming a trine to Jupiter, which could be quite nice. Now, Jupiter is still going to be retrograde at this point. Um, but this could be like some really positive support or insight coming in. Also, too, because it's a water trine, I would pay attention to your intuitive downloads on this day. You know, what your gut feeling is telling you around something. On the 6th, we have Venus entering Aries. And so more energy, more focus to that ninth house. You have Aries in your ninth house of higher education, higher knowledge, long distance travel, philosophy, your belief systems, religion, astrology is in the ninth house, publishing. So like learning anything really, like if you're deciding to take a course or go back to school or even publish your own courses, like, I mean, writing your own course could be in like the third house, but it's also in the ninth house too. I look at both because it's like the work, the writing and the creating that you're doing is kind of like that third house, but then like publishing and putting it out there is like that ninth and 11th house. It's like the third and fifth and ninth and 11th, they like kind of work together. Hopefully I didn't confuse you. But it's just so you know the different areas of life that this can show up for you. Because, of course, I have to be vague. It's a general reading and I don't have your chart in front of me. So I try to cover all the bases so that you can see, different ways that it can show up. But yeah, the Venus entering Aries, it's bringing more focus to this ninth house. But as soon as Venus enters Aries, Venus is going to form a conjunction to Neptune and then Saturn. On the 7th, Venus will form a conjunction to Neptune. And then on the 8th, Venus is going to form a conjunction to Saturn. Now, also on the 7th, we have the Mercury Cazimi. And so the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th, especially the 7th and the 8th, we want to pay attention what is showing up. This could be huge epiphanies, huge downloads. Mercury Cazimis bring sudden prominent aha moments, insight, clarity. So it's definitely a day on the 7th to jot down, pay attention on this day, have your awareness, you know, just so that anything is coming to your awareness that sticks out. And also journal. Like I highly recommend journaling, writing things down for the month. Dreams, important thoughts, important conversations, anything along those lines. And then once we get to the second week of the month, on the 9th, we have Mercury retrograde forming a trine to Jupiter retrograde. Now, Mercury first formed a trine to Jupiter retrograde on February 16th. So, what was showing up for you around the 16th of February? Because that can give you an idea of what you will be revisiting on March 9th. March 10th, we have Jupiter stationing direct, which is going to be nice because Jupiter rules our optimism and our hope. And sometimes when Jupiter is getting ready to station, we enter this like phase of feeling like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. We lose hope, which is just it's not usually something that stays, right? It's just like a week that we just feel off, or a couple of weeks that we feel off, because Jupiter rules our optimism and our hope. And so when Jupiter's at a standstill and we're not able to kind of pull on that energy a bit, it can feel like a little bit depleting. And then on the 13th, we will have Mars forming a conjunction to the North Node. And this is where I say we are going to have fire under our ass to an extent, because Mars is in Pisces. So Mars doesn't necessarily do the greatest in Pisces. Pisces kind of dulls Mars energy a little bit, but the North Node amplifies. So whatever is happening in the eighth house, whatever Mars is stirring up here for you around your partner's finances, shared resources, loans, debt, taxes, inheritance, and psychological healing and transformation. When Mars forms the conjunction to the North Node, this is where there could be like a sudden push, or like this pull towards something new, push towards something new. You feel like you need to take action with something. However, because there's so many unknowns and there's not a lot of clarity at this time, because it's in Pisces and also the Mercury retrograde, I would say just if you can hold off. And just wait to see how things play out. And I know this is, again, it's vague and but whatever it is you're navigating, if you're wanting to take action towards something, hold off just a minute, just because of that Mercury retrograde. Because literally on the 15th, Mercury retrograde is going to form a conjunction to Mars at 10 degrees of Pisces. And then this is where there could be, confusion. There could be fights and conflict based on miscommunication. So we do want to be careful of that. Um, and also too, Mars ruling your ninth house and all the energy in the ninth house, whatever you have going on with these themes and topics as well, there could also be this pull towards trying something new with that Mars conjunction to the North Node. Like maybe this is where you decide to book a trip, or you decide to go back to school, or it's like this push towards something new, which is very fated and karmic. It's just, I don't love it's in Pisces, and I don't love that it's with a Mercury retrograde. I feel like there's still a bit of confusion in a sense. But depending on how this is showing up in your world, like you listen to your gut feeling. We're in this energy of follow your intuition, listen to your gut, and only you're going to know if it feels right or if it doesn't. But just be mindful that we are in that Mercury retrograde energy if you're wanting to implement anything, which I don't like launch anything or anything like that. All right, so now let's get to week 3. So on the 17th, we've got Mercury retrograde forming a conjunction to the North Node. And actually, Mercury is going to station pretty much right on top of that North Node. However, on the 17th, pay attention to important downloads, intuition, what thoughts are you receiving? What conversations are you having? All of the above. We want to pay attention to anything that sticks out in our world, messages when we're online, emails, text messages. Um, Dreams even, because it's in Pisces. Like this is where there is going to be some type of um it's like sudden insight that could seem insignificant in the moment, but it's gonna become quite significant down the road. So just be aware on this day, on the 17th, what is showing up for you? What are you hearing about? Who's calling? Who's messaging you? Or what are you seeing online? When you're cleaning, what type of thoughts are you having? When you're driving, what's popping in your head? Things like that. That's what this energy really is. It's those moments. And then down the road, you'll realize, oh wow, that was insight. That was an epiphany. That was you know, um, an intuitive download of some kind. And then when we get to the 18th, we've got the new moon in Pisces at 28 degrees right here. And now this new moon in Pisces is not an eclipse. However, it does hold the power of an eclipse because we still have the North Node in Pisces. So again, the changes that you've been navigating over the last year in these areas of life with your money houses, what's been going on, this is where there's something new coming in for you. This is seeding a new milestone, a new intention, a new chapter to this story that is playing out. And also, the new moon is going to be sextile Uranus, which really does bring in this opportunity for a breakthrough of some kind, which I love. I do love. We only have a little bit more time of Uranus and Taurus, and then Uranus is going to be in Gemini, which is going to completely shift all the energies. And that's when things start to speed up. Like, yeah, we had our solar eclipse in Aquarius this month, which kind of sped things up a bit and brought a lot to the surface. But just wait. Once we get to the middle of the year and the nodes enter Leo and Aquarius, and we start to have more of those eclipses, and then Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius, is in Gemini, which is a very quick energy. We're talking about fast, sudden, quick, disruptive change. Right now, with that first eclipse, we had Uranus and Taurus, which was helping to kind of ground it a little bit. Once Uranus is in Gemini, it's like, everything's just flying. Everything is, doors are open and doors are closing very quickly. And then we also have Venus square Jupiter on the 18th. So on the same day of that new moon, we're also going to have Venus squaring Jupiter. This is overindulgent energy. So be careful of spending. Be careful of, Venus rules your 10th house of career and public reputation. So just be careful around your career, your public reputation, and anything kind of showing up in that area of your life. And your third house of community, neighbors, neighborhood, vehicles. Jupiter square Venus literally is overindulgence. It's like spending too much money or um, it's like too much of a good thing sometimes, or it can lead to too much of a good thing, but also too much sometimes of a bad thing. So just be careful of that. Yeah. Again, Venus rules that third house, but the third house can show up in many ways. That's your community, your neighbors, siblings, cousins. And so you're going to know as you navigate the month what's showing up in your world and then apply it to how it aligns to you. Just be mindful that this is a day on the 18th where there can be like this overindulgence, spending too much money, doing too much of a good thing that then leads to depletion of some kind. You know what I mean? So it's just an energy to be mindful. Then on the 20th, we start Aries season. The sun is going to enter that ninth house and Mercury stations direct. And again, that's going to be like on top of the North Node. So after the 20th of March, I feel like things are going to start to feel better. Once we reach the 20th of March, Mercury stations direct, we're going to start to gain clarity, more of an understanding as to what the heck we've been navigating for the last 3 to 4 weeks. Things will start to piece together, especially for you, Leo, when it has to do with shared resources, loans, debt, taxes, inheritance, psychological healing and transformation, any fears you're navigating, secrets you're navigating, your partner's finances, all of those themes and topics. Then on the 21st, we have Mars trining, forming a trine to Jupiter. So Mars is going to be here in Pisces and then form a trine to Jupiter here, which is in your 12th house. Jupiter is going to be direct at this point, which is nice. I love this, but it all depends on what Mars is activating for you here. If Mars is bringing in something positive, this could be great opportunity, great abundance, right? If Mars is activating something that's not so great. I hate using the word like negative and stuff, but if Mars is like activating something you don't necessarily want to have to deal with, this can just amplify it. Jupiter amplifies. A trine is something easy flowing that is coming in, that is very harmonious. However, it still can show up as whatever is activated. It's just being amplified. Just be careful. This could also show up as, again, spending too much money or getting out a bigger loan. Like maybe you're going into the bank to get a loan and you get way over your head. And it might not seem that way now, but down the road, it very much could be. That actually is one way this could definitely show up. So just be careful of that, okay? Then we get to the 22nd, and the sun's going to form a conjunction to Neptune. So at that point, we have the sun in Aries, and your ninth house, and then forming a conjunction in Neptune. So the sun does great in Aries. The sun is our life force energy, our vitality. Neptune, however, um, blurs boundaries, right? Makes things confusing. We're seeing things with rose-colored glasses. But when we're talking about our energy, I love this for spiritual work and intuition. I don't necessarily like this for clarity and confidence and um, this is also an energy because Aries is a very confident energy with the sun too. Honestly, one thing that just came to me, I could totally see this energy playing out as somebody being overly confident going into a situation that they are totally like have read the wrong way. Like they think that whatever they're walking into is completely different than what they've prepared for. And they're walking into this room where there's like this situation or group of people or whatever, and they are ready for like one thing, but they're completely unaware it's like something else. So they walk in all confidently and then realize, oh crap, I didn't prepare for this. Like that is totally like the sun conjunct Neptune and Aries. So yeah, just be a little bit mindful of that if that applies to you. Then we get to the fourth week. And on the fourth week, on the 25th, we've got the sun. Then we'll form a conjunction to Saturn and also sextile Pluto. And then also Saturn's going to sextile Pluto too on the 28th. So this is going to be interesting. Again, this is a bit of a different energy that we haven't really experienced. Like we've never had Neptune and Aries, right? Like in our lifetime. So this is all new to us. Like what is Neptune and Aries going to bring? And all these planets connecting to Neptune and Aries, like what is this going to activate? Like, yes, we always look at the past to predict the future, which I do have a forecast on my channel going into the Saturn, Neptune, and Aries transit and past events. But we're in a different time. So, yes, those things can show up, but they're going to show up in a different way. How are they going to show up in our own world, right? And so that's why, like, leave me a comment down below in my videos. Let me know how this energy, how you're navigating it all, and how it's showing up for you. But when the sun forms in conjunction to Saturn, again, Saturn can be restriction, delays, hardship. This could also be like a stop or a block or a hold to something. You know, what is Saturn shaken up in this area already for you, Leo? Like when it has to do with like your belief systems and higher education, knowledge, travel, like what has Saturn already brought to the surface? I mean, yes, it's just the beginning, but you should have already got a feel for what this is bringing. The sun can bring in some insight or support with whatever you're navigating in this area. So I do love that. But again, it could also be actually, you know what? I love this. Like this is a sun that's happy in Aries. And yeah, conjuncting Saturn, this could be like something really solid formed here. Like, let's say you're planning on going back to school, this is when you do that. You know what I mean? Or I actually just realized too, because Pluto's in your seventh house and there's that sextile, this could even be like an engagement or marriage, because even that ninth house too. I'm sure, yeah. This could be for some of you, yeah, an engagement or marriage, some like leveling up in a relationship of some kind. This is bringing in this opportunity for like transformation to some degree, right? Because that Pluto energy. And then on the 30th, we have Venus entering Taurus. So also too, oh, and I also just want to mention too, because the sun is your chart ruler, right? And so even with the sun forming a conjunction to Saturn, that could even be a day where maybe you're slowed down a bit. That just came to me too. I completely for that completely slipped my mind. It's the Mercury energy in Pisces. My brain's not working properly. I can't even get the words out of my mouth. But because the sun is your chart ruler, forming the conjunction of Saturn, that could even be a stop or a block or a hold to something. This could be a day where you are just don't have a lot of energy. Maybe your muscles are a little bit more sore or like stuff like that, like your legs are hurting, whatever the case is. It could also be one of those days. So that's again the end of March. And then the 30th, like I said, we've got Venus entering Taurus. And this is a great energy. Venus is going to enter your 10th house of career, public reputation. Venus loves being in Taurus. So whatever this is a time to really then start focusing on your career. We're going to start to have all of the energy shift from Aries into that 10th house of career as we move through move through April. And so once we get through March into the next month, then you can start focusing on your career. And if you're wanting to launch things or whatever the case is, then we start to have a bit more better energy. But then there's other energy coming in, like Uranus and Gemini, and then we're dealing with a whole other can of worms. All right, Leo. Well, I hope this helps you navigate the energy for the month ahead. And again, you know what? Don't ever wait for the astrology to be good. We have to learn to utilize the energies that we have. That's one thing that I like to teach my clients and friends. And just we have to learn how we can't just sit and wait for things to be good. We have to learn to utilize what we have. And so hopefully in these horoscopes, that's what I'm doing is showing you, what the energy is, the possibilities, and how to navigate that, right? But don't forget to subscribe if you align with my energy and enjoy my content, and I will connect with you in the next one.